Welcome to Malice and Mystery, where shadows whisper and the unknown beckons. Step into a realm of spine-tingling horror, eerie mysteries, and chilling tales. From real-life paranormal encounters to unsolved enigmas and spine-chilling urban legends, we bring you the darkest stories from the shadows. Subscribe if you dare, and remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved. The mystery of the man who walked out of time, the disappearance of Harold Finch. Harold Finch, a retired librarian known for his routine, walks along the Seabrook Cliffs, vanished one autumn morning. His disappearance went unnoticed until he failed to show up at the local cafe. Concern grew when his neighbor, Mrs. Whitaker, found his house unlocked and empty. The police discovered his walking stick near the cliff edge and footprints stopping abruptly. No signs of struggle or foul play were found. Harold had been acting strangely before his disappearance, speaking cryptically about time slipping away and moments folding back on themselves. This behavior took on a haunting significance after he vanished. As news spread, the townspeople speculated about supernatural events, with some claiming to have seen strange lights and heard disembodied footsteps. The truth remained elusive, but one thing was clear. Harold Finch's disappearance was unlike anything Seabrook had ever witnessed. The key to understanding his mysterious vanishing lay within the tangled threads of the enigma. The first clues: a mysterious watch and a forgotten diary. Detective Clara Hayes quickly shifted the investigation into Harold Finch's disappearance upon her arrival at the scene. She noticed an ornate pocket watch tucked beneath an abandoned walking stick near a cliff's edge. The watch's erratically moving hands caught her attention. Clara found a leather-bound diary in Harold's study, filled with cryptic musings on time. One passage stated, "Time is not a river, but a labyrinth. If you find the right thread, you can step outside its bounds." Clara enlisted Dr. Evelyn Marlowe, a physicist, to examine the watch. Dr. Marlowe suggested it could manipulate time. Delving deeper into the diary, Clara discovered references to experiments and a specific ritual involving the watch and the three sisters, ancient stones near the cliffs. Visiting the three sisters, Clara and Dr. Marlowe observed the watch reacting violently, suggesting a temporal anomaly. Clara theorized Harold had discovered something extraordinary and possibly transcended time. The watch and the diary became their guides in unraveling the mystery, leading them deeper into the labyrinth of time. Voices from the past. Witnesses speak. Detective Clara Hayes' search for Harold Finch becomes more intricate when two witnesses present unusual accounts. Margaret Hensley, an eccentric artist, described seeing Harold with a mysterious, unnatural shadow before his disappearance. Thomas Grayson, a retired fisherman, recalls hearing voices and seeing a shimmering distortion near the cliffs, followed by Harold vanishing. These strange testimonies align with Dr. Marlowe's theories on temporal disruptions. A linguist's analysis supports the idea of Harold encountering forces beyond comprehension. Re-examination of Harold's diary hints at watchers influencing pivotal moments in history. Clara realizes Harold's disappearance may be linked to these entities, making the case more complex and suggesting he might still be connected to the world in unexpected ways. The rift in time. Unveiling the mechanism, Detective Clara Hayes stood at the edge of the three sisters, the pocket watch clutched tightly in her hand. The morning sun cast long shadows across the cliffs, but the air felt unnaturally still, as though the world itself was holding its breath. Beside her, Dr. Evelyn Marlowe adjusted the settings on a portable device designed to measure temporal anomalies. The instrument hummed softly, its needle quivering sporadically as it detected fluctuations in the fabric of time. Clara's heart raced not from fear, but from the realization that they were standing on the brink of something unprecedented. "Whatever Harold did here," Evelyn murmured, her gaze fixed on the watch, "it created a rift, a doorway, and it's still active." Clara nodded, her mind racing. Over the past few days, the pieces of the puzzle had begun to fit together. Harold's diary had hinted at rituals involving the pocket watch in celestial alignments, and now they understood why. The watch wasn't merely a toolet, was a key designed to unlock access to dimensions beyond the linear flow of time. Evelyn's research suggested that the watch operated on principles similar to quantum entanglement, allowing its user to manipulate temporal coordinates. Combined with the amplifying properties of the three sisters, it had likely generated a localized wormhole tier in the continuum that Harold had unwittingly stepped through. But the implications were staggering. If Harold had entered this rift, where had it taken him? Evelyn theorized that he might now exist in a state of temporal limbo, suspended between moments or even eras. Alternatively, he could have been transported to a parallel timeline, one where the rules of causality no longer applied. Either scenario raised chilling questions. Was Harold aware of what had happened to him? Could he return? And if so, would he still be the same man who had vanished from Seabrook? Clara's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden surge of activity from the temporal detector. The needle swung wildly, and a low-pitched hum filled the air. Evelyn frowned, adjusting the dials. "Something's destabilizing the rift," she said. "It's collapsing." Before either of them could react, the ground beneath their feet trembled. A faint crackling sound echoed from the direction of the stones, and a shimmering portal materialized in the air, pulsating with an eerie blue light. Clara shielded her eyes, her breath catching in her throat. The rift was visible now, a swirling vortex that seemed to stretch infinitely inward, distorting the landscape around it. "It's opening again," Evelyn whispered, her voice tinged with awe and alarm. "We need to stabilize it before it collapses completely." Clara hesitated, torn between caution and urgency. If they acted quickly, they might be able to follow Harold's path, but doing so carried immense risks. Stepping into the rift meant venturing into the unknown, with no guarantee of return. Yet, abandoning the opportunity felt equally unthinkable. Harold's fate hung in the balance, and the answers they sought lay just beyond the threshold. Evelyn retrieved a small device from her bag of stabilizer. Prototype she had been developing for weeks. "I'll calibrate this to keep the portal open long enough for us to pass through," she explained, her hands moving swiftly. "But we'll only have a narrow window. Once we're inside, there's no telling what we'll encounter or how much time we'll have to find him." Clara nodded, steeling herself. "Then let's do it. We owe it to Harold and to ourselves to see this through." As Evelyn worked, Clara studied the portal, her mind grappling with the enormity of what they were about to attempt. The rift represented not just a scientific breakthrough, but a philosophical reckoning. Time, she realized, was not the immutable force humanity had always believed it to be. It was fluid, malleable, and profoundly interconnected. Harold's disappearance had shattered the illusion of its linearity, forcing them to confront the fragility of existence itself. Finally, Evelyn gave the signal. "It's ready. But remember, one misstep, and we could end up anywhere, anywhen." Clara took a deep breath, gripping the pocket watch tightly. Together, they stepped toward the glowing vortex, the boundary between worlds dissolving around them. As they crossed the threshold, the world dissolved into light and shadow, and the weight of time itself seemed to fall away. They had entered the labyrinth. Through the labyrinth of time, the transition was sudden and disorienting. Clara and Evelyn emerged from the rift into a realm beyond comprehension, a chaotic mosaic of fragmented moments, each clamoring for attention. The air shimmered with colors that pulsed like living entities, casting shifting hues over an ever-changing landscape. Time seemed to fold and unfold around them, trapping them in a dream that defied logic. Clara felt a profound vertigo, her senses overwhelmed by the cacophony of sights, sounds, and sensations bombarding her from every direction. "Stay close," Evelyn shouted, her voice distorted as if filtered through static. She gripped a handheld device, emitting a faint, stabilizing hum, its purpose unclear but undeniably necessary. Clara clung to the pocket watch, its erratic ticking now synchronized with the chaotic rhythm of their surroundings. Each tick resonated with the fragments of time around them, pulling at their consciousness like invisible threads. As they ventured deeper, the environment shifted unpredictably. One moment, they stood in a bustling Victorian marketplace, the scent of roasted chestnuts mingling with the clamor of horse-drawn carriages. The next, they were in the sterile corridors of a futuristic spacecraft, its walls lined with glowing panels that pulsed in sync with the pocket watch. Between these extremes lay countless other sensation forests, war-torn battlefields, serene meadows all layered atop one another like translucent veils. Amidst this surreal chaos, they encountered Harold Finshore, rather, versions of him. Multiple heralds appeared and vanished in rapid succession, each frozen in a different moment of his life. Young Harold, wide-eyed and eager, clutching a library book. Another herald hunched over a desk, scribbling furiously in a diary. Yet another stood silently at the edge of cliffs, gazing out at the ocean with an expression of profound longing. None acknowledged Clara and Evelyn. They were mere echoes, remnants of decisions made and paths taken. "Harold," Clara called out, her voice cracking with desperation. "Can you hear us?" Her words echoed through the labyrinth, blending with countless other voices. For a fleeting moment, one of the heralds turned towards her, his eyes meeting hers with startling clarity. But before she could reach him, he dissolved into the ether, replaced by another version of himself. Evelyn adjusted her device, scanning the fractured landscape. "We're close," she said urgently. "The rift has scattered his essence across multiple timelines. We need to find the Kortha original herald." The task was daunting. Navigating the labyrinth required not just physical movement, but mental fortitude. The shifting realities tested their resolve, forcing them to confront fragments of their own memories. Clara glimpsed moments from her father's funeral, her first day as a detective, a quiet evening spent reading by the fire. Each memory tugged at her emotions, threatening to pull her off course. Evelyn, too, struggled, her scientific detachment faltering as she encountered visions of failed experiments and missed opportunities. Despite these challenges, they pressed on, guided by the erratic ticking of the pocket watch. Slowly, the fragments began to coalesce, forming a clearer path. The heralds they encountered grew more coherent, their actions less disjointed. Finally, they found him, or at least a version of him that seemed anchored in the present. This herald stood at the center of a swirling vortex, his face etched with exhaustion but also determination. In his hand, he held a second pocket watch, identical to the one Clara carried. "You shouldn't have followed me," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We had no choice," Clara replied, stepping closer. "What happened to you?" "Where are we?" Harold sighed, his gaze distant. "I tried to understand it, to control it. But time resists it, doesn't want to be controlled. I thought I could step outside of it, see the bigger picture. Instead, I became lost, scattered across moments I wasn't meant to witness." Evelyn intervened, her tone clinical but urgent. "The rift is collapsing. If we don't leave soon, none of us will make it back." Harold nodded grimly. "Then we must go. But know this, what lies beyond the labyrinth is not just a mystery, it's a responsibility. Time is fragile, and those who tamper with it risk unraveling everything." With that, he extended his hand, the two pocket watches aligning in a flash of blinding light. The labyrinth shuddered, its fragments dissolving into a single cohesive stream. Clara felt herself being pulled forward, the weight of time pressing down on her as the world snapped back into focus. When they returned to the cliffs of Seabrook, the pocket watches had fallen silent. Harold stood beside them, solid and undeniably real. Yet his eyes carried the weight of someone who had seen too much, who knew the cost of meddling with forces beyond human understanding. Though they had solved the mystery of his disappearance, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that their journey through the labyrinth had only scratched the surface of a far greater enigma that time itself might never fully reveal. Echoes of eternity, reflections on the journey. As the sun set, casting long shadows over Seabrook's cliffs, Clara Hayes found herself gazing at the pocket watch in her palm. Its hands had stilled, frozen in a moment that seemed neither past nor future, but somewhere in between. The weight of their experiences pressed on her chest, a blend of awe, relief, and lingering unease. Nearby, Harold Finch's silhouette was outlined against the twilight, his presence both familiar and foreign. Though he had returned to his world, he was no longer the same man who had vanished weeks earlier. Time's labyrinth had changed him, leaving an indelible mark on his soul. For Clara, the journey had been transformative in ways she was only beginning to understand. Before stepping into the rift, she had viewed time as a linear construct, a series of moments strung together like beads on a string. Now, she understood it as a complex tapestry woven from countless threads, each intersecting and diverging in ways that defied logic. The labyrinth had shown her fragments of lives lived and unlived, choices made and unmade, and the infinite possibilities within the smallest decisions. It was a revelation that both exhilarated and terrified her, underscoring the fragility of existence. Harold, too, bore the scars of their odyssey. Though outwardly composed, his eyes betrayed a depth of knowledge that set him apart from the man who had once walked the cliffs with quiet predictability. He spoke little of what he had seen within the labyrinth, but when he did, his words carried the weight of someone who had glimpsed eternity. "Time is not ours to command," he said one evening, as they sat together overlooking the ocean. "It flows like water, shaping and reshaping the world in ways we cannot fathom. To interfere is to risk drowning." Yet, for all the wisdom he had gained, Harold's return was not without consequence. The townsfolk of Seabrook regarded him with a mix of curiosity and unease, their whispers hinting at suspicions they dared not voice aloud. Some believed he had been touched by forces beyond mortal comprehension, while others feared he might inadvertently bring calamity upon them. Clara defended him fiercely, her loyalty unwavering, but even she could not deny the subtle changes in his demeanor. He seemed more introspective, more attuned to the world's rhythms, as though listening to a melody only he could hear. Dr. Evelyn Marlowe, meanwhile, retreated into her laboratory, consumed by the implications of their discovery. The data collected during their journey through the rift had opened new avenues of research, but it also raised ethical questions that haunted her. Could humanity truly wield the power to manipulate time without causing irreparable harm? Should such knowledge even be pursued? Evelyn wrestled with these dilemmas in solitude, her mind a battleground of ambition and caution. As weeks turned into months, life in Seabrook gradually returned to its quiet rhythm. The cliffs remained unchanged, their ancient stones standing sentinel over the sea. Yet for those who had ventured into the labyrinth, the world felt subtly altered. Clara found herself pausing more often to savor the present, acutely aware of how fleeting each moment truly was. Harold resumed his daily walks, though his path now included frequent stops to gaze at the stars, as if searching for answers written in their light. And Evelyn continued her work, driven by a newfound sense of purpose, tempered by humility. The pocket watch, now inert, became a symbol of their shared ordeal, a reminder of the mysteries that lay just beyond the veil of understanding. It was locked away in a secure vault, its secrets guarded from prying eyes. But Clara knew that its silence was deceptive. Somewhere, deep within its mechanisms, the potential for chaos still lingered, waiting for the right conditions to awaken once more. In the end, the true impact of their journey could not be measured in tangible terms. It was etched into the fabric of their lives, shaping how they perceived the world and their place within it. Time, they had learned, was not merely a backdrop against which events unfolded. It was a living, breathing entity, as unpredictable and capricious as the ocean itself. And while they had emerged from the labyrinth with answers, they also carried a profound awareness of the questions that remained unanswered. As Clara watched Harold disappear into the gathering dusk, she felt a pang of both gratitude and sorrow. They had walked out of time together, but the echoes of that journey would resonate within them forever. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales of the mysterious. Until next time, stay curious and stay cautious.